Today, I'm really delighted to have Kathryn Thomson with us, the Chief Executive of National Museums Northern Ireland, and we're here for a coffee chat as part of TEDx. Well, look, Kathryn, it's absolutely brilliant to see you.
It's great to see you too.
Thank you so much for coming along. You're very welcome to Loaf Pottery in Crawfordsburn, but sure, you've been here before.
Many times. I did my home renovations last year and lived on takeaway pizza from here, and I can recommend it. It's really delicious.
Great, well, thank you. And that wasn't set up, was it? Really?
Not at all.
Well, look. I'm just so glad that you were able to join us for coffee and a chat, and I suppose we're just really, really keen to hear about you. You and I have known each other for a while now, and I am so impressed, kind of blown away by your leadership. I think one of the things that's always amazed me is you're not your usual public sector leader. Would that be fair enough to say?
Well, possibly not.
Tell us a bit about yourself. I know a little bit about it, but it'd be really good to hear a little bit more about yourself and your leadership journey and how you've ended up where you are.
Yeah, so I guess I grew up here, actually literally just down the road. That's why I have warm feelings towards your Loaf Pottery in Crawfordsburn. I wish I had been here many years ago. And I went to study at university like many people did. I studied in Edinburgh. I started out doing a business and accountancy degree, but I discovered that you needed to turn up to all your lectures to pass your accountancy exams.
Funny that.
I rapidly dropped it after 2 years. I qualified with a business degree, and then I headed off to travel in South America for a year. I did some voluntary work, some travelling. I wasn't really very keen on entering the work world too soon.
Good idea.
So I came home and I went back to live in Edinburgh. And I applied for a number of jobs, and ironically I ended up going to PriceWaterhouse to train to be an accountant, so it came back to haunt me, and I spent a number of years both in their London and in their Glasgow office, and I am now a chartered accountant, and years of therapy.
I didn't even know that about you.
Years of therapy have allowed me to say that in public. I am an accountant, and I suppose it's been a great door to open lots of different opportunities, because I think I knew I never really wanted to be pure finance, so it has given me an opportunity to work after I'd worked with PwC, as it became when I was there. I worked in the health service in Glasgow, and when I came home initially I worked at the tourist board at Tourism NI for over 10 years, which was a fantastic time to be there through all of the big events, from the MTV Awards through 2012, through the Irish Opens. I did 2 Irish Opens, and the Giro d'Italia, the G8. So it was a really exciting time to be involved in tourism in Northern Ireland when it was really opening up onto a global stage. Yeah.
And you were leading there as well.
I was the chief operating officer there.
Okay,
so
great.
I call that person the person who's shit shoveling.
The person who does all the work.
Funding and politics, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then 4 years ago, the opportunity came up at National Museums NI, and I moved to the role that I'm in now, which I absolutely love.
Yeah, tell us a bit about that, because we've chatted about this before. It is a complete change, isn't it? It's a beast, the museums, the size of the buildings, all the things go on in the different ones. So you tell a really good story about going into the buildings initially and into the storerooms.
It is a beast, but it's a very friendly beast.
Yes, of course. Yes, of course.
I've never been a career planner, so I never set out with a view that I would one day become the director of the museums in Northern Ireland. So I find it very humbling and quite a privilege to be in the role that I'm in. The collections that we look after on behalf of the people of Northern Ireland are incredible. They tell stories that go back into the depths of time. They help us make sense of the world around us, and they help us also to challenge our own understanding and our own perceptions. So we have 4 museums in the group across 3 different sites, and I suppose for me, coming into the organisation, I thought I understood what museums were. They're a nice place to go for a day out and might learn something, but actually the breadth and depth of what we do, I think is staggering, particularly in terms of social impact. And we work with all sorts of different groups of people and communities to address challenging issues people have. We work with vulnerable older people. We obviously have our schools curriculum programme. We work with on social exclusion, all sorts of areas, and we want to provide opportunities for people to come in and to do programmes and activities within the museums that will really help to have a positive impact on their lives and improve health and well-being and people's confidence and all those kind of things. So that was quite an eye-opener for me. And
so it's bigger than I had thought when I'd heard you speak about it at first. You know, there's a significant amount of estate as well, and then all of the outreach work that goes on. It is quite a big job.
It is, and I suppose for me coming in, not understanding that, it kind of struck me how ill understood museums are.
Yeah, well, I can understand that.
And really our role and purpose in society. And I suppose part of the challenge for me as well is I came into an organisation that had very significant funding reductions over a protracted period of time, so probably 50% less funding than it had maybe 6 or 7 years previously. There'd been 30% reduction in the headcount, and I suppose that the organisation hadn't really made a strategic response to that. And so we were approaching a cliff edge, and our position was becoming very unsustainable as an organisation. And so we've had to really ask ourselves the really hard questions, you know, what is museums and a group of museums? What is your role and purpose in society, and what does that mean for what we do and how we do it? So that has challenged us to really be a lot clearer on why we exist, on our core purpose, and how we bring the organisation behind that core purpose and provide and fulfil a much more relevant role within society today.
So one of the things that was very evident for me when I was chatting to you about this is strategy has been really important, and probably bringing the whole team behind the strategy for the museums. Can you tell us a little bit about how your leadership style and what way you've done that? Because there's been a change management process going on since you've come into the role. So, you know, what has Kathryn added to the mix? You know, how have you done it?
I don't think you can achieve anything on your own.
No,
so where I'm really lucky is that I have a fantastic team of people across the organisation
I would have to agree.
And
knowing
you
some
work
of
with
them.
so many of them that
they're
you
a
know
really
that.
pretty cool bunch.
I think that you can come in and as a leader you need to be you need to listen a lot, and you need to understand your organisation, and you need to understand where it's come from. I could never do something I didn't believe in, or you could never work anywhere I didn't believe in it. And I think the more I learn about museums, the more I believe in what we do, and the more passionate I am about making sure that we really do fulfil the role that we need to fulfil. And where I have been lucky is that because of the situation that we found ourselves in, we had to make strategic response as an organisation. So each of the museums in the group was set up actually separately, and about 20 years ago had come together under the banner of National Museums NI. But structurally and culturally the organisation had never been merged, so and it didn't function as a corporate entity. So really putting in place a new senior team across the organisation has helped to unlock I think the potential of where we're going, because I can only achieve so much by saying I think this would be a good idea, or should we go this way. I'm a very impatient person, so I know that I need to get there, and I want to get there as quickly as possible. But I suppose one of the things I've had to learn over my career is that you can get there really fast, but you'll turn around and nobody will be with you.
Okay, so that's interesting.
So actually, and actually it's not necessarily the best way to get there, so you still want to go to the same place, but I think by bringing people on board and allowing other people to influence the process in a more iterative way, you can actually find better ways to get there, and when you arrive there'll be more people with you.
And have you, is that something that you have learned along the way yourself? You a bit of self-reflection in relation to your personality type and leading teams, or what's been the development in your leadership style over the last while? Can you think of any pivot moments where you've thought, oh goodness, right now I need to change that slightly, or that really works well?
I think it's just time, and it's nothing significant, but the more that you do and the more that you watch and you think, why did that not work so well, how could I do that better?
Okay, so
but also
reflection.
Watching other people around me. I've had the privilege of working with some great people, and you learn as much from great people as you do from really bad people, but
I suppose that's true.
And I think you kind of find a way to weave through. And I guess maybe I have become more patient as I've got older, and I have learned that, as I've already said, if you are going to get there, it is just about sometimes taking the pace down a bit to make sure that you bring everybody else with you, but also allowing other people who have great ideas, and for that to actually adjust and let's say, well, actually maybe the way I was going to do it's not the best way, and let's do it a slightly different way. So I think those are the kind of, it is more for me just about learning through little mistakes or watching other people, or every day I'm learning. So every day I still make mistakes. I do beat myself up a lot.
Yeah, do you? So I think that seems to be a people think when you see a really confident leader that doesn't happen, but that self-reflection and that checking on yourself is something that you have as well. Yeah,
I get cross with myself a lot.
Okay.
Why did I do that? Why did I say that? Why did I not just take an extra breath and pause? But
it's probably important that we're honest about that with people as well when they're starting to think on their career journey, because I don't think anybody has it all sorted, even in any day.
No.
No, although it does seem that way when we're chatting to you.
I know. I'm very much, stab and see.
Good. Well, the interesting thing I have found is working with the museums is that there's a real passion across your team, and there's a kind of joint purpose. But I'm really interested to hear a little bit more about what, so we do collaborate. We work with yourselves on the cafe in Omagh, and it's been a really, really good partnership. And actually, and I'm not just saying this, but you're here quite unique in the positive way that it's been done, and certainly a really good model for us. And can't wait to get it reopened again, in fairness. But you do seem to really value partnership and collaboration, and sometimes that can be lip service, but it's not with you. I'm just interested to see what your future vision is for the museums, making them relevant, making them up to date, and how you think collaboration and partnership will play a part in that.
Yeah. Well, first of all, can I just go back to the beginning and say, when you said you are the people that you meet within the museums have a very clear sense of purpose. That's really encouraging for me, because part of our journey of change has been clear on our purpose as an organisation, and that change starts on the inside. So the people that work there, all of my colleagues need to feel and buy into that purpose, and if they can do that and we can live that, then that translates itself outside. So that's really positive for me.
And it's so evident.
And I would also say your organisation is fantastic, and I know we're in here chat, but we did have a conversation because
I actually sitting here. Lots of things happened here.
I think what's really important for me around collaboration is that you achieve a lot more when you work with other people than if you work alone, and you need to find partners that share your value set and your value base, but also what you're seeking to achieve. And I think that's why the Now Group was so attractive to us, and we are thrilled with how our partnership is working out in Omagh.
So are we.
We know that cafe is performing better than it has done for a very, very long time, but I think it's the opportunity to run the training kitchen where as an outdoor site, it is more seasonal than the Ulster Museum, for example, so it can be quieter in the winter, so that and therefore it doesn't make it a sustainable model for a fully fledged cafe business. But for you to be able to run your kitchen is hugely is a huge bonus for us, and I think also for the region to have that provided, because actually for us our sense of purpose is very much about being able to use our facilities and our infrastructure for the greater good, and that's why I think that partnership is great. So partnership and collaboration is one of the core values that we have within the newly defined kind of vision, mission and values that we have in the organisation, and I'm quite keen that when we talk about what are we going to do, we talk about who are we doing it with, and I think that is important. I do think that traditionally the museums have been seen very much closed space, that they didn't really work with other people, that they slightly ivory tower-esque, but the collections that are owned by the people, they should be for everybody, and I think that everyone can benefit, and the more we can make the collections accessible through the types of experiences we have in the museums, then I think the more successful and the more relevant we can be for more people. Great. So one of the things that we've been doing actually as part of our reopening strategy, we've been developing I say the royal way, 'cause it's me. I work with
That's a
great
leadership
people,
way.
okay. But we've been developing an access for all strategy, so we've been working with a number of representative groups such as HNI, Autism and I. Actually, we've been working with yourselves as well to say what, you know, some of the communities that they represent are probably those that have been most affected by COVID-19.
Yeah.
So what would coming into a museum feel like and look like for them, and how can we actually reopen in a way and with experiences that will be welcoming for them and give them confidence to come back into museums. So we're looking at you know, particular times people may access or ways they may access the building. So we've really accelerated that part of our planning.
Brilliant.
And we want to pilot that in our reopening fees.
Well, that's good because I think with it is a new challenge for a visitor attraction, and that idea of making people feel welcome and how you make people feel is a big part of what you do. It's certainly something that we're very keen on as well. But it is more challenging at the minute with COVID-19 and that whole bringing people back and how they feel when they come back will be something that your team will be looking at in quite a lot of detail, I would assume. Yeah.
Really keen to make sure that we do that properly.
Okay. So, you know, just to and you know, to wind up now, Kathryn, I'm just thinking for people who are listening in today, what would be your lessons or tips in relation to leadership? You know, what has worked for you? And I'm keen to see if you can maybe mention some of your feelings around grit and leadership.
I suppose it's okay to admit that you don't have all the answers, and it's okay to make mistakes. And I think people look at you every day and they expect you to know the answers.
Yeah.
And I think COVID-19's been a really interesting test, because particularly in that early stages, and everyone, I didn't have any answers. I don't think anybody had any answers, and that's quite hard when people are wanting you to give them a direction or a steer or reassurance. And so for me, I think it's important to be human.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
That's, you know, I try to, you know, I try to be real and to be human, and I think that's the best thing for me that you can be. But and I don't have the answers, and I think that's important.
Well, I think that bit of honesty is great.
Lots of people around about me that do have the answers, which is great.
Good. Well, look, that's brilliant. I think that's a really good point for anybody that's looking at a leadership, or even in life, to understand that we're learning as we go along. Well, I want to thank you very much for coming along today. It's been so good to see you again.
Pleasure, and it's great to see you.
Yeah, and
face to face.
Yes, I know. I missed you.
Not on the screen. I missed you too.
Thanks, Kathryn.
No problem at all. Thank you.